Broadcasting live from the basement of the Pentagon. This is WTF Nation Radio.
If that's really a thing, and I get authorized to do it once, it's pretty much gonna be me sitting there talking shit, like, constantly.
WTF Nation Radio. WTF Nation Radio.
Whoa, 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 whoa. Do you ever have one of those moments where you think, how the hell did I get here? Jeez, what happened to me? I was ruling the galaxy. Had a cherry new battle station. I mean, this place had an omelet bar. A straight up That was my out.
The voice of U.S. Army, WTF Moments. This is WTF Nation Radio.
I looked my woman in the eye sockets. I told her straight out. I just said it, man. I said it. I said, bitch, I'm the man of the house.
Yeah, you said bitch, though. You called your wife a bitch.
Yeah.
What is this Facebook Live? I've never heard of this shit.
This is a public service announcement from C.T. Fletcher. I will not contribute to the pussification of a nation. Get your punk ass out there and work for it, motherfucker.
Let's roll.
Oh man, happy Monday. Break them off some. Broadcasting live from the Functional Veteran Center of Excellence on this 18 January 2021. Woo! U.S. Army WTF Moments, WTF Nation Radio, Monday edition. I'm your host, Ice, and the other host, Flyish. Giving you all the current events.
I had to turn on my mic for that.
Yeah, I'd say you had to turn your mic on for that? I know, it's been a few days. We've been getting back in the swing of shit. God. But anyways, make sure you get in the chats there on WTF Nation Radio's Facebook page. Or you can check out the other pages that we're on. We're on Twitter, used via Periscope. We're on Twitch. We're on Mob Crush, and we are on YouTube. So we are everywhere. And of course, always with the TuneIn app and the website. Oh man. Anyways, so Flash, how was your weekend so far? I know you've been kind of busy doing stuff. What you been up to, man?
Are we ready for 2022?
Yeah,
I'm just saying. Like I'm already like fast forward.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
So some games that I was looking forward to are
Right.
being, being
Right.
pushed off to 22. Some movies pushed off to 22.
Oh, hey, real quick. Speaking of games, did you write down all the information that we talked about last Monday about what the picks were going to be for the games? Because were we pretty close? Were we? I don't remember.
We were. I think me and you split even.
Okay. Because I know it was between the Saints and the Bucks, and who did I say was going to take it?
I believe you said the Bucks, and I
Okay.
said the Saints.
Okay,
But
there you go.
said the Ravens, and I said the Bills.
Yes, that's right.
We were both right on the Chiefs.
Yep.
Even though I wanted the Browns to win, we were both right on the Chiefs.
Yep.
And then we were both right about the Packers beating the Rams.
Yep.
I tell you what, there were some good games. Like, even though the Bills game was low scoring, it was a good game. The Bucks and Saints game was really good. It sucks seeing two young stars both going out on concussions, unable to finish the game. But man,
Dude, that was some
it was a lot
serious
of fun.
stuff. That was a serious hit that Patrick Mahomes. That was a clock that you heard. You're like, oh damn, No, hey, what's up, Steve? Nobody likes to see their non-favorite team player get hit. Does that make sense? I mean, because
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Because I know
Nobody wants to see anyone actually this is a
clocked.
game where we're like, man, I hope this guy gets hurt just enough where he can't play.
Right.
We've all had those thoughts, but no one actually really wants someone
Right.
to be hurt.
Well, then-
And as we've learned,
And when it happens.
between the Army and sports, the brain, you take enough hits and causes some serious issues. So not only did Patrick Mahomes was ruled out after a big hit on thanks to the concussion protocol, which sometimes but it's for the benefit and safety of the players. So I'm glad that they pushed that. But Lamar Jackson also taking a big hit after a miscue with a overthrown hike. Ball flew over his head. He ran back. It was from the 20, got back to the 5-yard line. Was able to get the ball just enough to throw it out. So they caught him for intentional grounding on the 3-yard line. So they didn't get the safety, but he took a big hit as it was a bang play too. There wasn't nothing malicious about it. Player had his legs, and the other player came over the top of him, and you just see his head just go bam off the
right.
off the turf, and I'm like, nope, he's done. And his replacement came in and was playing really well. For the most part, but they just couldn't keep up with the Bills. Both defenses look great. So I was very excited. But yeah, go Bills. Oh, and if you need a cherry on this weekend of football, the Bills fans raised $270,000 for Lamar Jackson's charity in celebration of their victory.
Oh, that's cool. Well,
Some goodwill for you for 2021.
What's Lamar Jackson's charity? What's the charity?
I didn't do that much research, man.
Okay.
Come on.
Gotcha. Okay. So with that, what so me and you were talking some stuff right before we went on air, and we might as well just talk about all these events that are happening, man. We got the inauguration coming up. We have FBI posting wanted pictures everywhere. What's the gist? What you were saying something about? You're already seeing a level of hypocrisy already. What's up?
Shoot, I don't even know where to start first. So we talk about the inauguration because that's coming up, but let's talk about the policies that are already starting to form. There's lots of things that Joe Biden, President-elect Joe Biden, is got to get that right. Put some respect on that name. Is already signaling that are going to happen. He did already reveal a $1.9 trillion COVID relief bill, including $1,400 payments per person. And then more money towards businesses, payroll, bailouts, and stuff like that. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of fat on that as well. Biden's looking to block Trump's order lifting travel restrictions. Because remember, Trump issued an executive order saying that he has been, for Muslim primary. It wasn't Muslim. It wasn't a Muslim ban, but they're calling it the Muslim ban. They're going to lift that. And then a couple of things.
These
like
are
the Keystone
restricted countries,
Pipeline.
though. But these are restricted countries that were currently going some level of conflict, though, right? Isn't that what the original one was? I mean,
considering that they were all in favor of stopping travel and stuff right when COVID started hitting, it's kind of weird. It's weird timing, but I think it's the overall effect of I'm here, I'm undoing all all of Trump's work. I'm going to
Gotcha.
undo it all.
Yeah, I hear you.
At least that's how it feels to me. It does feel like it's kind of like I'm just gonna, because he put his hands on it, I'm going to undo it. That's kind of what it seems like to me. There's some things that I'm sure that I'm like, yeah, I could agree with. There's a long laundry list. One of them is the Keystone Pipeline. They're putting a complete shut on that, so we'll see if that ever gets picked back up in the next, in 4 years, if there's a Republican president or not. But the Keystone Pipeline's getting cut. And then, a lot of we talk about this all the time when it comes to politicians on the road making promises. Depending who they talk to, the promises might change, or I promised that and the other. Well, the first challenge for Biden's policies is coming. Well, it literally is walking its way north from Central America as a migrant caravan is heading north for America. Now, the migrant caravan members have cited Biden's pledge to suspend deportation for 100 days as a reason for traveling to the U.S. Now, a migrant traveling with the caravan that left Honduras on Friday told reporters he was heading to the U.S. because soon-to-be President Joe Biden is giving us 100 days to get to the U.S. The migrant, seen in an interview shared by The Hill, which it's a outlet I really do respect, did not provide his name, but said he was from a small town in Honduras, or it's a tourist island off the northern coast of Honduras. There we go. But he was citing Biden's pledge for a 100-day moratorium on deportations, one of several items on his agenda that will reverse some of President Donald Trump's signature policies. Now, the migrant told the reporter that he was fleeing a bad situation that is made worse by the coronavirus pandemic, hurricanes, and their overall government that's just not really helping anybody out there. When asked what he wanted for his people, the migrant said that it was to get into the U.S. because they're having a new president. They're going to help us all, the migrant said. He's giving us 100 days to get into the U.S., to get legal status, and get a better life for our kids and family. And I understand. I 100% understand you want to do that for your kids and family. So Biden has promised a pathway to legal permanent residency for those in the country illegally and a suspension on deportation by ICE. The immigration goes into enforcement. But check yourself, because Biden is telling them, no, don't head this way, because it's just not, pretty much saying it's not the right time, which is kind of crazy considering, it was all these promises. This piece is coming from NBC News. They're calling it like thousands of migrants. Like, this is a big old group of people just heading north. President-elect is, getting promised to end strict, policies. But
well, what? I honestly think that. I mean, it's. Is this going to have? Is there going to be delay? Like, can some of this stuff be actually stopped? I mean, is this something that Dee Treasy put in place or wrote into policy? Can it be undone by this current administration? I know everyone likes to talk about this, do this, can do that. They were talking about doing a national mask mandate, and now it turns out they can only do a mask mandate on federal property. You know what I mean? It's.
There are.
You know what I mean? I'm just curious.
Man, I wish that constitutionalists would fall back in.
I know.
There are only so much the government can do. And with, if the Republicans, I guess, have, Republicans, conservatives, anything that they can go, at least we have that. It is the Supreme Court is, if you believe, the Democrats and everything like that, swings pretty conservative for the most part. Now, there have already been some, like, we didn't expect, the latest justice who voted against something that Donald Trump, was laid in front of the Supreme Court, showing, at least she's proving that rule of law is rule of law, which I can appreciate. You're not part of a party. You're here to interpret the Constitution and law,
right,
and go forth and conquer. So we're already seeing that, but if you look at it from, personal leanings and stuff like that and how people have already judged and ruled on things, it does lean a little more right. So I do expect anything, just like with President Trump, everything that was put out in executive order was immediately challenged in court, moratorium, blah, blah, blah. I expect the same thing with Joe Biden, so we'll see what happens. Now, a senior Biden transition team official said the perception that the Biden administration will be able to allow all arriving asylum seekers to enter the U.S., the claim is just false. The situation at the border isn't going to change overnight. It's not going to be transformed overnight. But the official did decline to say when asylum seekers might be able to come to the U.S. Biden pretty much saying, like, hold up, give us a second, because kudos on them for already putting the pressure on our our president.
Right.
It's not their president, but they're trying to get into this country, which I understand. But the door's over there. That's all I have to say about that. But they are putting Biden's policies already. So already, having that transition to hold up, no, you can't, because it's just not going to work that way.
Right.
It's funny because if it doesn't, apparently like the day one is going to be like they've already have executive memos written up, ready to go. So there's an estimated 9,100 migrants that are coming up. They're fleeing food scarcity, the two hurricanes that came through, drought, economic hardship. I mean, they have it pretty bad down there, and I do feel for them. We'll see what happens, because caravans only get bigger as they move north. Let's see what happens when they get closer to into Mexico, and then how many people from Mexico jump in. While some may be spurred by promises of an easier path, in the past, increased immigration has occurred around the U.S. election transition of power. There was a spike in migration in late 2016, early 17, just before Trump took office, and the caravans from Central America arrived in Southern California in 2018 around the midterm elections. So it'll be interesting to see, what happens with that. Now, there's lots. There's going to be a lot to unpack when it comes to everything that's going to kick off day one. But this is just kind of like the biggest test for Biden right now is immigration policy, because he's still, Democrats still don't believe just let only the hardline, loudmouth ones are really like, let everyone in. But a lot of them do believe that there has to be a process, which I think might be easier to fix that process instead of trying to, hey, if you jump over a wall and pay off the coyotes and
here we have
get under those tunnels and everything.
Here we have the coyotes again. Hey, and Pookie's got a good point. It's their news agencies down there telling them that they'll get free citizenships. You know what I mean? That they're talking about the lacks of border of border security. Well, hey, what's up, Liz? I get a feeling that now, like you said, he's going to be like, oh, hey, hang on, let's kind of wait 100 days. I think that's kind of like ship's already sailed. You know what I mean? It's kind of they're not going to wait. There's already.
They have Biden's own words to use.
Yeah, right, exactly.
So it's Biden's own words saying, we're gonna get rid of all these policies, which makes me wonder, are they going to tear down the wall? Or just leave it? Because my thing is, wouldn't that be a waste of government resources to now just tear it down?
Wow. They're talking about some new Biden. Now we were just joking around Trump bucks. Now they're going to have some Biden bucks. You hear about that? And they're going to have some Biden bucks.
And a clear path to do it too, because now they have the House. They have the executive branch. Now it's. The only thing is the Senate. Now, Mitch McConnell and Chuck Schumer are closing in on a power-sharing agreement to evenly divide the Senate. So that'll be interesting, because I don't remember ever a time that I don't remember a time that I can remember where the Senate was literally split in half. So that'll be interesting. They are nearing, like I said, the power-sharing agreement to hash out how to evenly divide how the chamber will operate, with Democrats in charge of setting the schedule on both parties. Democrats will be able to set the schedule, but both parties will likely hold an equal number of seats on the Senate committees, making it not an easy task to just straight up, railroad this and that, which means that there will still be harsh scrutiny when it comes to these nominees that go in, whether it's a Supreme Court nominee in the future or, all these different positions, because the Senate does all the confirmation part. So it'll be interesting because they could just be like, when Trump took over and the Republicans had the Senate, they were like, all right, cool, move on. All right, cool, move on. All right, cool, move on. Now Democrats control the schedule, so they can fast track things they want, but they won't necessarily have the votes right away. Now, lots of Republicans have already come out and said that they're here to be kind of a part of a team, like be a part of the team. Like, hey, look, we're not here to like we're unity, all this other stuff, because everyone's going after unity now that the big bad Trump man is gone away.
Yes, all that unity, man. Can't wait to see all that unity happen. You know what I mean?
Hey, look, if it gets our elected officials to work together, I'm okay, because maybe they'll go, hey, this is what happens if we don't work together. We get Trump. So maybe let's just hey, hashtag team effort. Let's go. Like,
that's a good point though.
Maybe not be so much
hardliners. Do you know? I was just talking to somebody about that today too, about the fact that the vitriol right now on everybody, it's getting pretty dangerous, especially with what happened, on the 6th of January, and it just kind of. It's now to the point to where media is now screaming. We're having like the Twitter, the Salem Twitter trials. You know what I mean? It's almost like I said that we brought this up before. It's like the burning of witches and heretics, the Salem witch trials. Just because you have now a different opinion, now someone's gonna say you're a seditionist or you're a traitor. It's like you hate vets. It's that tag again, dude.
Yeah. And we're just gonna go at it.
Yeah. You're just like, fuck. Really? Are you really gonna freaking say that? Just because somebody. Now look. There are individuals that probably have voters' remorse the first time and maybe the second time they voted, or they thought, first-time voters or something like that, and they voted for Trump, and they thought, okay, yeah, maybe he's going to do something, or maybe, this might be good, or whatever. I'm tired of the establishment, because you never know. I'm not getting into the mind of some. I'm just throwing up some possible ideas of why somebody probably would have voted for Trump once and then maybe voted for Trump twice. But there's also individuals that voted for Joe Jorgensen. There's also individuals that voted for Vermin Supreme. There's also individuals that voted for Biden.
Give me my pony.
Yeah, I want my pony.
I look here to the 150 million, the 150 million people who voted for their two parties. Vermin Supreme was going to give us fucking ponies,
and everyone was going to get a rifle. Everyone was going to get
what is your issue with ponies?
We were going to get bigger guns.
150 million of you are anti-ponies, and I will not stand for that.
That's it.
Here, WTF Nation.
Right, exactly. We are now going to be on a new fighting the anti-pony platform.
What's up, Elizabeth, Scott?
Yep.
Steve, what's going on, everybody?
Yeah, it's just funny how everyone was
gonna run on the non-anti pony.
Yeah, you guys, all you anti-ponyers, you're yeah, exactly there, Pip. People even voted for Kanye.
We're on the PP platform.
Yeah, so are you going to sit there now that you voted for those individuals? Are you now going to call them out and say they're now seditionists? They're now traitors because they didn't vote for Biden? That's what the political climate and the media, the environment, the information environment is starting to look like. People are now on Facebook now and on freaking Twitter and all the other social media platforms that are literally going, "Hey, this is you're a seditionist if you voted for Trump. You're a seditionist if you voted for Kanye." It's the divide that's being caused.
Go ahead and call me whatever the fuck you want. I voted for Joe Jorgensen, and I was very happy about that vote. Like, I felt good. I went, check. Oh yeah.
But my thing. But my thing again.
Call me seditionist.
Well, that's what I'm saying. You are not in the place. I'm not in the place, nor is anybody in the audience in a place to be able to say that. To say, Flash, because you voted for George Jorgensen, you're Ice because you voted for Vermin Supreme, or Ice because you didn't vote.
Because you exercised your American right to have your voice heard in a free election. You're now a treacherous bastard.
Yeah, now you're a traitor.
Go stand over by the wall for re-education.
No, you're a traitor. Yeah, you're. Oh, you know what? And that's another thing too. They're talking about freaking. They're talking about freaking. There's people out there. There are people that are entertaining the idea that if you voted for Trump, that you need to be sent to a camp to get deprogrammed, to get re-educated. Dude, what the fuck is going on, man?
I'm not for civil war. I'm not. I don't want to get to that point. You want to find a reason for me to throw up arms and shit? That would be it. Because let's look back to the history. Let's think about the last people who really did, re-education. I know. Let's see, China. China did re-education.
China does that shit, man. China does that right now.
Everybody. Oh, look at Russia. Hell, they can't even let somebody who ran against Putin and survived a Russian-made nerve gas come back into the country without being arrested immediately, and they're holding a trial in fucking in the police the police station. They did a lot of re-education. Stalin was big on education. I tell you what, there's no one more education than Devosi or whatnot.
Yeah. Putin's trying to hack into our phone calls right now. Leave us out of this. You know what I mean?
Hey, fucker, stop it.
Yeah, stop. Yeah, you got in China with the Uyghurs,
I hear people say that shit
with the Muslim minority in China. The Chinese are putting them in camps. This whole fucking camp thing. I'm thinking, are you guys really? People that are even entertaining like that, exactly that, Scott. It's like
got to be Wolverines in this bitch.
Yeah, just for suggesting that. You're talking about the let's get back together. Now it's time for. Now, don't get me wrong. Now I am for about accountability and stuff. So if there's some people that did some shady shit, then I think it needs to apply across the board. Let's how far back are we going on holding people accountable for shady shit? It's if they were tied to it. And there's some individuals and. You know, when we had guests on here talking about how Congress works and all that, they're all tied together. They're all, you know, they have to work together to pass bills. They have to be together and talk together. It's almost like when you get a divorce. Your divorce attorneys from both sides, they're talking. They're going to golf and discussing how they're both gonna get the case. You know what I mean? So it's really, when I heard that deprogramming, if you really want to start some shit, that's where fuck around and find out is in full effect on anybody.
That's when people just don't realize that words matter. You can't say, "Oh, we should reprogram all the Trump."
Right?
No. Maybe we need to find ways to close the divide instead of going, "You're wrong," and we should do things. You know, like you see those tweets. I mean, the random ones that. Of course, the random ones that super Trumpers find that are like, oh, this one person said it. This is the entire Democratic platform. No, fucker. It's just one crazy person. Just like the same way we've had, Cletus over there who's saying that we should round up all the liberals and throw them in California.
Exactly.
Put dynamite all across the San Andreas and then blow that fucker and let it go out to
blow it
sea.
Blow it out.
Cletus, go drink your fucking
blow it out.
You fucking idiot.
Blow it out into the Pacific Ocean.
Look, I got me some oceanside property right now as soon as we get rid of California.
Speaking of which, I just want to give a big condolences to our mascot. And everyone was asking, where did I get the name Cletus from? What was it from Cletus? Is that one of our members of our staff has a dog named Cletus. And so that's when we were joking around in William Wallace. We were talking about Three Cletus and all that. Well, Cletus passed away. So he had to be put to sleep. So with that, we were talking about how we were going to design the three Cletus T-shirt and design and all that. So now what we're going to do is we're going to have Cletus, our Cletus, the dog, who is a German Shepherd. He's going to be immortalized forever as the logo for Three Cletus beer. So there we go, guys. We were tossing around the idea. So William Wallace's Three Cletus beer. It'll be Cletus. It'll be WTF. It'll be the WTF Nation. It'll be Cletus the dog. And right now we're throwing up graphic ideas to have Cletus immortalized, and so there you go. So I just wanted to give shout out and of course big hugs and puppy pets to the to old Cletus, as he is, because everybody knows all dogs go to heaven, paradise, whatever you want to call it. That's it, So he's a good dog, and would interrupt the show sometimes when we would be on air, and so again. That's the status of Cletus the dog, and yeah, exactly that cause. Rest in peace, Cletus. But anyways, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to I didn't mean to give you down. Just when you say Cletus, that reminded me of
no, you're very right. He was a good puppy.
He was good pups. So, but going back to what you were talking about, for people who are like to say that words matter, they sure are using some vitriol and some hateful words, not realizing that words matter. Does that make sense? They're not using their better judgment by saying, we're gonna, we need to put them in education camps. Hey, stop. There are some groups of people that, when it comes to camps, when it comes to being educated, that it's gonna strike a nerve. And how any of those, like the Uyghur, like I said, the Muslim minority, the Uyghurs in China, they're currently getting put in camps, re-education camps, and being sent off. Matter of fact, some of those camps were in the same region where the movie Mulan was filmed. So there's some trivia for you.
Yeah, I know, and a lot of people were, and it probably, one of the many reasons why that movie just didn't succeed. Sorry, Mulan.
Well,
if you don't have Mushu,
No.
you're no go.
Oh, I know, dude. What's up with that? That was like one of the key things if they're trying to do live action stuff like that. But no, you're right. But again, it's just that's bad rhetoric that's happening right now, and I think that right there is counterproductive to talking about the unity stuff and all that. Hey, I get it, unity and all this other shit. That's what's supposed to happen when you have a peaceful, transition of power. You're supposed to have a, I don't know, something kind of like chill and see what happens. Just like when Dave Chappelle said, we'll see what he does. The same thing with Biden. We'll see what he does. But I guarantee it, nobody should be getting the ass. Nobody should be getting butt hurt if all the media attacks and all the commentators are attacking Biden as much as they attack Trump. Because people will bring receipts. People will show, hey, look, when Trump was president, you said this. All I'm going to do is just replace the name from Trump to Biden, and that's it. That's where the rhetoric needs to go. If you're serious about making amends and all that, fucking A, fine, let's do it. But you're serious about accountability. Let's investigate and go through this process to see if any crimes were committed other than the fact like us, like you and I. Hey, we're just service dudes, veterans and stuff like that. I'm not an illegal bone in my body when it comes to interpreting the law and all that. I'm just I'm just the WTF Nation enthusiast. And so to me, being able to weigh in on that, I would just say, hey, let's see what happens. And when it comes out, they're like, oh, that's fucked up. But no need to get upset and go on a fucking tirade saying that it's Kaz had a pretty good show on Friday Night Freedom about the impeachment and stuff like that. Like he said, some was a little bit fucking rushed, a little bit. I think it was rushed, the whole process of it, because of the timeline of all the events from when the 6th January protests and siege of the Capitol to now, which. What can he do now? I mean, what?
Well, speaking of the Capitol, there's another interesting topic. Hey, so if you're in the National Guard, hopefully you're not a bad person. But according to the Guardian and a couple other sources, the FBI is vetting thousands of troops amid a fear of insider attacks on the Biden administration, or not a Biden administration inauguration. You got the alliteration right there. Boom, three eyes in a row. I don't plan these things; they just happen. Which already these what the National Guard has done. They've already stopped. I think it was 2 separate incidences where one a gentleman was trying to get through who had 2 handguns and a crap ton of ammunition trying to get through a checkpoint. They snapped him up. Somebody was doing stolen police valor with a fake police officer uniform, and then another guy got hit up as well. But the thousands of military personnel who right now are marching. Okay, there's been a couple of I know what their mission is, I know what they're there for, and everything. But sometimes you see the way that these cell phone shots are set up. You see National Guard just marching their way down the road. It's like, man, this is I know they're not there for anything nefarious. But it feels like 1984 is happening. What's going on? I know they're not there because of something. But I'm still if they were there just to be there, I'd be like,
let's just talking about to dispel any rumors. Yeah, they're dispelling any rumors. I've received emails and phone calls from several members of the media asking me if we found any pictures or evidence of insider stuff like that. And I'm like, what are you talking about? That would have been blasted all over the media had that surfaced about a soldier taking a picture or doing a video. It turns out at first it was a rumor as a video, then it became a picture rumor that was passed around about a soldier plotting or something like that. That's not true. It's not happening. It didn't happen. You would think, because the way social media is and the way QAnon works and 4chan and Acoon and Acan, whatever the hell is the way they call it, the Great Awakening, or that's what I call it. That would have been all over the place. I would have gotten it in the feeds of all the conspiracy theorists on my friend list. That'd have been like, oh, you see, the soldier's going to be doing something, blah, 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 right? I'm here to tell you right now that I've gotten more videos. Actually, these last weekend of videos have been pretty fucking shady. I just want you guys and gals to know that we are not going to post any of the videos that you send that we've gotten over the weekend. Yes, we are aware of the video. Woo, we ain't gonna post that. That's already been handled through that individual's, I guess, chain of command or something like that. So more to follow on that if you're on the receiving end. But as far as the Capitol stuff, there's no videos or pictures that we have seen, because we would have seen it. We would have gotten. I mean, we get hundreds of fucking messages a day and pictures a day and videos, and I'm just like, everyone's asking me, it's like, you see any videos of this? I'm like, nope. But I did see a video of someone doing something they shouldn't have been, and oh yeah, we saw that video. Okay, well, the next that video came trickling in. But there is no. It's that immediate jump to news. Oh my God, there was a fire today. Everyone evacuate! And it turns out a bum was fucking trying to keep warm because he built a little barrel fire or something like that, or he popped
under an overpass.
Over an overpass, right?
Like so no one could have looked out. But I mean, everyone's on edge. I mean, no one was prepared for the. Even though they're saying, "Oh, this was the most predictable domestic terrorist act," and I'm like, yes, but. We've constantly been underwhelmed by some of the things that Donald Trump has promised and said, including some of his rallies and stuff. Oh, this is gonna. I don't think. Like I said, I knew it was going to be stupid. I didn't believe. If you would have asked me the day before, no, I don't think that people would have decided to break into the Capitol, but they did. So I mean, that's something that just. And then everything with it, everything with that is still, stuff coming out, how easy, there's videos of the guys just sitting in there, and the cops just like, hey, could I ask you guys if you could leave? And one guy's like, oh, don't worry, I'm watching sir to make sure they don't do anything in here. It's like, bitch, he didn't say that. He said get the fuck out. And then are politely escorted by police. I know Black Lives, the riots that happened after a lot of the Black Lives Matter protests that happened definitely were met with a lot harsher hostilities than breaking into the Capitol and going after elected officials. But I do find there's disparities between how both were treated. But now the Democrats realize, oh shit, we're not they were marching with the Black Lives Matter. They were kneeling with the African garb, which a lot of people clown the shit out of them about. They felt, we're one of you. We're your people. But this isn't their people who decide to break in. So now they're scared because, oh shit, these people who constantly carry guns are pissed off and riled up, and the Hornets' Nest is there. Now, do I think the Hornets' Net's going to be anything more than it was on the 6th? Nope. I think we're done.
Murder Hornets.
I mean, the Boogaloos did the Murder Hornets. No, not these guys.
No, stop right there.
The Boogaloos did their thing.
No. Hang on. No. I didn't see no. See, there you go. I didn't see no Boogaloo flags flying. I didn't see no.
Would you let me finish?
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Sir,
please. Can I finish?
Sunday,
Can I finish? Okay.
The Boogaloo movement did their thing like they've been planning for months.
Right.
They were at the Capitals. It was largely uneventful.
Right.
They were there. Granted, the crowds weren't huge, but they were there at major government centers all across the country, just doing their thing. That people were freaking out that this was going to be like across the United States. Like it was going to be like the start of the Civil War was happening. No, the Boogaloos, who were just already planning to be out there, did what they were going to. They sat out there, they talked to people, and they hung out like shit.
Right.
And it was, so I think that the media's, I don't want to say they're over sensationalizing everything, but I do think that's like, what's the right level of shit? How shittily prepared should we be? Because these fuckers could come back. Now, hopefully, all these fuckers being arrested and that shit getting posted everywhere might deter people from, deciding to go from being a protester to a fucking asshole, because these are the same people that get mad at black folks of, hey, that's not how you protest. No. You can't kneel. You can't kneel in protest. You can't do it. No, you can't walk through the streets and protest. No, you can't do that in protest. Why don't you guys know how to protest right? Here, let us show you. And
right.
They break into the fucking Capitol. I'm sorry. The same people that get on black folks or anybody other than them for how they protest are the same people that protest fucking wrong. Fucking assholes. But hopefully
I didn't
plastering all their shit
right.
across the interwebs of them getting arrested and banned on no-fly lists.
Well, you say that too. Did you saw that there was I think Cos talked about it. There was somebody who was from part of the Black Lives Matter group that was filming the event where Ashley Babbitt got shot. He was there too. He was involved in it, and I guess he was filming his location or filming something like that. So are we attaching? Here's the thing: are we attaching the label? And this is a question that I know everyone's going to freak out when I ask, but I'm going to fucking ask it.
Dun, dun, dun.
Are we asking? Are we trying to label stuff like because a lot of these generals and a lot of these individuals, these talking heads, that I don't know, we just spent almost 2 decades in forever war and couldn't figure the fuck out how to unify or how to not have a divide between all the factions in Iraq and Afghanistan, are now going to tell American policymakers here that they're all Al-Qaeda's. They're all Al-Qaeda's. They're all jihadists. They're you know what I mean? So these guys, again, they're doing a broad brush over the American population, and instead of being who what groups are these, and why are we not going into more of these groups and chasing down these white supremacists or the supremacists or the militias? Is it legal to even go after? There's a legality that we have within our Constitution already of what you can and can't do when it comes to investigating the American people for something like that, unless, of course, the FBI or whoever says this is a legitimate extremist group. Not what a fucking Karen says on Twitter or Facebook, but a legit like there has been trends, or there has been stuff like that the FBI and when they do their crime report, I want to see what the listing will, what they say. I don't want to go off of what Karen says on Twitter or whatever. I want to see exactly what the FBI is saying. What are the themes and symbols that they're using? What are the things? Just a bunch of shit that just, it's so broad that you can't just paint one label on somebody who is not, and like you said, not that's white. It's counterproductive to start pointing fingers at white dudes now who are in uniform that have nothing to fucking do with anything, but just because they voted for Trump, well, you need to get investigated because I'm in uniform. You're in uniform and you're a white dude. Now everyone's now starting to ask, oh, what if we have insider threats within the Army? What if the Army is? What if we're hiding in extremes? I'm not saying that they don't exist, or I'm not saying that we don't have racists or.
Of course they're there.
But
we have white supremacists. We have fucking racists. We have fucking misogynists. We have everything in the Army. But it's a matter of finding them out. So
right,
at least
exactly.
The National Guard is having 25,000 of their own being vetted by the FBI, which is a fucking daunting task. But damn. They're everybody. Lottie-dottie everybody. The FBI is checking names. All the names are being fed through the FBI database with any connections to investigations or terrorism or any red flags. So, we'll see what happens. But Ryan, Secretary McCarthy, the U.S. Army Secretary, told the AP Guard News they were receiving training on how to identify potential insider threats, although no hard evidence has come to light. Quote, we continually go through the process and taking second and third looks at every one of our individuals assigned to this operation, he said, adding we need to be conscious of it and we need to put all the mechanisms in place to thoroughly vet these men and women who support this operation like this. So, that makes sense. Now, the Pentagon has received 143 notifications of extremism-related investigations last year from the FBI, 68 of which were related to current or former service members. That was reported by the Washington Post. So, they're out there. There's always going to... you can't have an organization as big as the U.S. Army and not have a couple of fucktards, rolling around, not doing what they're supposed to.
Of course. But then it's up to the leadership to sit there and do something about it, and then that's it. Mm-hmm. But don't start pointing fingers and shit and have... You got to remember, the same individuals that couldn't find Vanessa Guillen and the same individuals that are ones that are talking about how our the military are the same ones that we're going to be depending on. Same individuals that can't follow fucking COVID protocol are going to be the same ones that are going to be, again, trying to look into to see who is an extremist. Hey, look, there's some individuals that I grew up with that had specific, but they're talking about looking at tattoos again. And these are what people are suggesting. There's individuals that I grew up with that had tattoos back in the day that would now be considered extremists just because some talking head on fucking Twitter or Facebook or the news decided to say, oh, that's extremist. And it's something completely innocuous. That's how all these fucking memes and that's how all these memes are starting to get fucking banned, or how all the stuff that gets built up. Now, I'm not talking about the serious ones. Don't get me wrong. I'm not blowing them off, and the white supremacists and the KKK and Aryan Nation guys and all that. I'm just talking about people going off. I'm just talking about the individuals going off on their own tangents, thinking they can go and start belittling or start slandering people, libeling people, you know, all on media and on TV shows when they're like really have nothing to do. You're gonna have somebody who's a old guy who you know, who's an old World War II veteran. He had a fucking tattoo from his unit that everybody got because there was a tattoo back in the day, and he's got an old Winchester sitting on the freaking, you know, he's sitting there, you know, smoking a cigar and having a scotch, and someone's like, "You're a racist," because of what the era that he came with and the symbols that he has on his body. This finger pointing, this hyping, this fucking this getting up everybody in some mad paranoia. Everybody must be smoking weed, because I heard people who smoke weed are really paranoid. It's just going down a dangerous path.
What? I'm sorry.
From what I heard, I'm just saying. From what I heard,
I've been told.
I'm just saying. But right, and it's exactly that, Gary. It's always been the practice that as a soldier gets close to the president, you will be investigated. There was always that, and you know why? I was close to W. What's up, Ice? Remember us? I was close to the president. I was close to W. Bush, George W. Bush. I was close to him, and they made us we handed them all of our CACs, and then after we gave them their CACs, they sat there and gave us a little bit, and they can scan your shit fast. And this was back in 2001, of course. 2002, I'm sorry. I think it was 2002, 2001. And yeah, they that was it. Exactly. You know what, Kaz? Brilliant comment right there. Kaz just put it in the chats. They're just there for the largest change of command ceremony the U.S. has ever seen, and the world too.
Dog and pony show.
It is. Oh my God, you're right. I want to bring your units to attention.
we all these guys are doing it going, man, at least I'm getting a little extra pay.
Oh, you know what? That's a good point,
That's
Kaz.
about it.
Kaz, we should do some squares. We should do some squares or something like that. Hey, how much you want to make a bet, or at least let's make a wager that I bet you those soldiers that are pulling freaking National Guard duty in D.C. will be standing in formation.
Oh my God, that would suck.
You know what I mean? That would be like the ultimate icing on the cake when you see people like falling out, and you see, you know, those guardsmen that have not done any fucking PT whatsoever. You could totally tell they were rapidly mobilized. You know, hearts go out to those guys and gals that are out there doing that shit, but they're going to be standing and doing big army shit. They're going to be like, what the hell is going on? I can just imagine that. I think it'd be fucking funny.
So,
go ahead.
transitioning just a little bit.
My bad. Yeah, I'm just rambling. Go ahead.
So, Donald Trump is planning on pardoning 100 people. Or clemency and pardoning in his final days of office. And, you know, I want to do the squares on who. Apparently, Lil Wayne is about to get pardoned or clemency or something.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, allies have come out and said, "Hey, you know, don't pardon any of the rioters, the seditionists, people who are getting all hemmed up and shit." And I do think that, you know, we did mention. I don't know if I mentioned last week that there was a federal prosecutor who pretty much said that these rioters were going in to find and to execute elected officials. I don't know if I said that or not, but I only say that just because, in case I did, those same prosecutors did walk back on those comments.
Okay.
So a little less, you know, because apparently people were like getting like, we don't know that for sure. There's nothing that ever, you know, said that.
That's
Granted,
fair. That's fair.
Showing up with zip tie handcuffs is kind of a weird thing to have at a protest, but there's definitely nothing that actually they can prove that says they were going to go and kill elected officials. So the federal prosecutor did walk back on those comments. So I just want to make sure, in case, because I know I put that out. I think I put that out last week, so I wanted to correct it with the updated information that somebody, you know, probably yanked his chain and was like, "What the fuck are you doing?" No, we can't prove that. Shut up. Now the president has discussed the idea of preemptively pardons. A couple of the aides have said, but officials said family members do not need them, and attorneys question the legality of a self-pardon. But hey, I'd like to pardon myself for for punching Joe Biden in the face on the inauguration day. Like, I wonder if Trump's thinking that, like, what can I get away with and pardon myself over? Like, I'm going to steal everything and then pardon myself for it.
Right, exactly. I honestly don't think that if anybody has...
I took an upper decker in all of the White House bathrooms.
Well, see, here's the thing, too, and here's what we're confirming, and this was as of 14 January. Everybody knows that the news is going on pretty quick. But I've got friends with that are pretty they're high profile individuals that are within specific groups and all that, and they have kids and they have family members that are involved in this. They've been called up, and there was a question of someone's loyalty on one of the individuals who's also a major Fox News personality. Two of them actually, and what the deal is with them, what's going to be their loyalties or something like that. I kind of think that is it ramped up to rhetoric? Is there any proof? I know one of them is a major Fox News contributor, and he's always talking and pushing pro-Trump stuff. He's always encouraging Trump to to do this. He was also one of the big guys, one of the guys that was in front of getting all these war criminals fucking pardoned, like Lawrence and those dudes. He's in the National Guard. He serves part-time. So is he getting activated for this stuff? Is he not going to get called up? Somebody brought it up to my attention that it's either you live in the Army values if you're a reservist, or play partisan, mob cheerleader and an enabler on TV. You can't have it both ways. So that's why everyone's kind of looking at now, in the way this political climate is, what's going to happen when the next administration comes in and someone is always against the president. You know what I mean? So if they're going to go after this guy for saying that he's pro-Trump, I think we're going down a dangerous path when we now start saying somebody who's anti-Biden and he's a reserve officer in the military and he can say whatever the fuck he wants on reserve off order status. What's the case on that? You know what I mean? So it's kind of like I keep going back to the Salem Twitter witch trials and shit. You know what I mean? Where everyone's going to start publicly going off on somebody, and don't get me wrong, do I have a question like that when I think about my I got family in the military. When it comes to something like that, do I think about that? Hell yeah, I do. I think about it all the time. But until my family has hit me up and said, hey, I got an issue, I got somebody on my chain of command, or I have somebody in my unit, you're not going to know. You can't just automatically assume that the chains of command are going to know. So it's a dangerous path that we're going down. Now, don't get me wrong. The individuals that do talk about the president and they support the president, that are friends of mine, I don't give a shit. Let them. I mean, I don't care. I mean, they're not like in the predicament they're in, but I just don't. I don't know. If you voted for the president and you voted for Trump, and there you go, and he lost, and there you go, he fucking lost. That's it. I'm still gonna have a beer with you. I'm still gonna, I know you guys can, there's a lot of my Trump supporting friends that are like, you're just a libertarian or blah 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 blah, and you had Vermin Supreme on, ha ha ha. I'm like, yeah, whatever, shut up. I don't care. You were talking about Joe Jorgensen coming on. You were talking about Spike Cohen coming on, and I'm not going to freaking. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe is it bad wiring on my part? Am I missing something, Flash? What am I missing? Am I missing the I don't know, the freaking dogpiling? Let's burn them. I don't know. What do you think?
See, I think some of these Democrats are coming out and they're being smart, and they're saying, hey, we're going for unity. We're going for unity. And hopefully that message carries through, where we're not so hard up on people who aren't on the same political spectrum we are. And I pray for that, because it got really Obama was like, under President Obama, things were getting a little like, this side. Under President Trump, I'm sorry, that divide was the fucking, was fucking Pacific Ocean in size. And I think we've got, hopefully Biden being a centrist will kind of, bring things closer to the middle, where you're going to have people who are extreme values one way or another, but have more people who have more common ground, where this shit's not going to be as crazy. Now, on those pardons, one thing I'd love to see is Edward Snowden get pardoned.
Why?
Because I feel that, even though he leaks, secret files revealing how much surveillance operations are carried out by the NSA, you know what? I'm cool with it, because I don't like the fact that we can just spy on American citizens so easily without, getting the proper documentation and court filings and stuff like that. Now, there other ones have, that are on the list that people have asked for, is like Julian Assange.
Reality
I don't really
winner.
care about the WikiLeaks guy.
Reality winner. What about her?
I mean, they're also talking about, what was it, Charles Kushner, the father of the president's son-in-law. Talking about pardoning him. Let's see. The group includes Paul Manafort, George Papadopoulos, and then Michael Flynn. So it's not uncommon for the president to pardon people on his way out. Let's see. George W. Bush pardoned. I think it's George Bush pardoned people who were part of the Iran Contra scale, a scandal. Let's see. Bill Clinton pardoned a couple of folks who were with the whole oh man, I just had it was a financial crisis back in the 90s or whatnot, and he pretty much a couple of people who were involved with that ended up getting pardoned. So I mean, it's not uncommon at all. Well, but nobody wants to. Everyone's like, oh, the last thing of power that he can do. Damn it.
Well, do you think though that all that he's well within his rights to do it? What did the other administrations do up until they got out?
I mean, hell, everyone. It's almost tradition for presidents to pardon people on their way out. Wasn't Chelsea Manning pardon or clemency?
Yeah.
And I don't. Was that on his way out? I know he did it, but I don't know if that was on his way out or not. I don't think President Obama had any crazy people that he just straight up and pardoned. I have to look that up.
Yeah,
but
I don't. That's not what I'm saying. But I'm asking that would have been any different from what Obama or Bush did. You know what I mean?
They've all had the power to do it, and Donald Trump right now is figuring out who he's going to pardon or whatnot. I hope it's Lil Wayne. Get him out of cuffs, man.
Little Wayne.
Help the brother out.
We're gonna take a break right quick. Oh no, wait. Yeah, we're gonna take a break right quick.
Yeah, we are taking a break right quick.
Yeah, we're taking a break, and we'll be right back. So everyone, go refill your glasses. Go take a leak. Go smoke a cigarette. Smoke them if you got them. Shots.
WTF Nation Radio. WTF Nation Radio.
Take it from me, Ice. You can't just float around space not caring about stuff forever.
The voice of U.S. Army. WTF Moments. This is WTF Nation Radio.
Shit in the bag, Pogue.
Nothing feels the same. Left it all behind.
another rocket attack. I've got my boots and got my ammo in my 50-pound sack. Boys headed to war in this world unknown. The only peace of mind I've got are these letters from home. Another day attack. I've tried to talk and tell you about it, but it ain't the same. All these thoughts that run through my head, well, they can't be tamed. Another day has come and gone. Another night I'm all alone. I didn't think I'd be this far out here in Kandahar. Another day has come and gone. Another night I'm all alone. I didn't think I'd be this far out here. We ain't far from Kandahar. South of the border, now life it's got a little harder for me. I fell in love with some girl. She told me that she was gonna rock my world. Now I'm stuck here with no money. Don't that just sound a little funny for you? Well, her name was Maria. She 5. I told them that I was gonna take their life. Now I'm stuck here on the run. I don't know the animal I have become, so won't you save me? Save me! Won't you save me? Save me! Won't you save me? Save me! Won't you please put me out of my little misery? Well, I know life is short. Mom, you know I always try to do my best. Should've listened when you told me I wouldn't be caught in this mess. Gotta go now, Dad, I'm sorry. Everybody, all y'all need to know this is life, a true story. When you chase ass down in Mexico, save me, save me. Won't you save me, save me, save me, save me. Won't you please put me out of my little misery? Won't you save me? Save me! Won't you save me? Save me! Won't you save me? Save me! Won't you please put me out of my little misery?
I am here determined to stop this future atrocity.
If that's really a thing, and I get authorized to do it once, it's pretty much gonna be me sitting there talking shit, like, constantly.
This station is now the ultimate power in the universe. I suggest we use it.
The voice of U.S. Army, WTF Moments. This is WTF Nation Radio.
I find your lack of faith disturbing.
Everything stated on WTF Nation Radio is to be considered the opinion of the person that stated it, and not an official representation of WTF Nation Radio or U.S. Army WTF Moments.
Price does not include tax, title, or license. Some assembly required. Each item sold separately. Batteries not included. Objects in mirror are closer than they appear. If conditions persist, contact a physician. Individual results may vary. Keep out of the reach of children. Avoid prolonged exposure to direct sunlight. Keep in a cool, dark place. And
please enjoy the show. Shots.
And we're back with part 2 of the Monday edition with myself, Ice, and the other host, Flash. Broadcasting live from the Functional Veteran Center of Excellence. U.S. Army WTF Moments, WTF Nation Radio. Woof, man, on this 18 January 2021. Man, so we're just sitting here talking about some, what was it, the pardons. And how many presidents have pardoned of presidents of who pardoned of excellence. And so our research team has pulled out the deets and gotten the information. And what are we looking at here, Flash, for pardons? What?
Why did they send me stuff right before we go on?
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to see. Sorry.
There's a story with all that. I love to pass on. Somebody's like, stop kicking him, he's already dead.
Yeah, exactly. So we're just watching right now. Me and Flash are laughing at a PAO in the Twitter world messing with the Sergeant Major of the Army, and so now all of the Sergeant Majors and all the PAOs and other commands, 18th Airborne Corps and 1st Special Forces Commander now dogpiling on this poor PAO.
Yes, so this PAO from I think it's 3rd Special Forces Group.
Yeah.
And our friend of the show, Jim Laporta, I guess they were going. I was watching this on the Twitter sphere. They were going back and forth, and they pretty much made a bet who could get the SMA to follow first.
Correct.
So the PAO, I guess a friend of the PAO, who else I know, reached out to the SMA about seeing if he can get him to follow. He said who, and they posted the screenshot of the SMA. Pretty much was like, "Who's that?"
Right, right.
And just everyone's dogpiling them, and it's the best thing ever for Twitter, at least in the middle Twitter community. And the memes and the GIFs. I love. I tell you what, I could tell stories with just GIFs alone.
Oh my gosh, I know. I just thought that was classic. God. I think Sergeant Major of the Army. Have you seen him on Twitter? He's pretty savage on Twitter. He'll get on some. I don't want to say he's savage. He'll just everyone subtweets him.
He doesn't take bullshit.
Yeah, so he's like, some people are like, well, if a certain so and so of Sergeant Major of the Army would so and so, and then he'll come in and just chime in out of the blue, and he'll just type, "Go on." It's classic when you see him go on. Just little questions like that. So, anyways, I'm sorry about my bad. Go ahead. You were saying?
No, you're good. I mean, speaking of that, though, I do want to say, I follow, part of my job, I follow everybody. Navy leaders, Air Force leaders, Marine Corps leaders, because there's not that many on Twitter. And there's even Coast Guard leaders, not that many, but still, I follow them. And I tell you what, the U.S. Army's got it going on when it comes to senior leaders getting on these platforms and engaging in these conversations, and not just conversations of, yay, it's the Army birthday, or it's the Air Force birthday, it's this, it's that, it's nice and shiny, how are you? Well, thank you for your service. I'm talking like real conversations
right.
about the ugly side of our beloved military and the things that we want changed, and they're out there responding and engaging with people. And I think it was Jim Laporta actually even wrote that he was pretty impressed with how much the leaders are out. The U.S. Army leaders are out there. Secretary McCarthy, the CSA, General McConneville, the SMA. Grinston's a beast, and you're right. He's not like savage, like he's going in there for the kill or something, but like he doesn't take bullshit. He's a sergeant major, not just in title, but fucking like he's on these platforms. And like,
it's only because I know his voice, I know his demeanor. You ever read something?
Super quiet guy.
Yeah, but you ever read something in like somebody's voice and how they would react? And if you know that person, and I know Sergeant Major of the Army, and when I read his tweets, I read it in his voice and his demeanor, and I'm dead. I mean, I'm dying when I'm reading this shit. I think it's fucking hilarious. But I'm sorry, I didn't mean to distract you.
when Sergeant Major Grinston came in for Sergeant Major Daly, I was worried because we had Sergeant Major Chandler before Daly, and I loathed Sergeant Major Chandler. And everyone really liked Daly, but I tell you what, Sergeant Major Grinston has definitely come into his own, having to deal with these huge issues that have come to light.
Oh yeah, for sure.
They're not new issues; they're issues that finally people are shedding light on, and has completely been super engaging. Yes, he's not as, I don't think he's like on the same level of charisma as like Sergeant Major Daly. But he's like in his own right is just out there in engaging, I think, better than Sergeant Major Daly. So it's great to see Army leaders getting out there on the spheres.
Well, I mean, I think
for that PAO's sake, I hope he gets followed.
Well, I think Sergeant Major of the Army. I think Daly, though, Sergeant Major of the Army Daly was just starting to get on the platform. You know what I mean? It was new for. I mean, you have to admit, for the Army to get on social media was kind of fairly new. So
it wasn't that many.
4
years ago, 5
yeah.
years ago.
So I think with him coming on, he was at least personable, and I think had he been in the seat a bit longer, or had he been on social media a little bit longer, I think he would have grew into it. But I think
who goes to the SMA's PAO, whoever it is, pushing. Well, I mean, we know who it is, but pushing, the SMA to be more involved and engage in conversations that aren't super easy.
Exactly.
It's a tough job, but they're doing a good job of it. There you go, U.S. Army. And our command team of everybody.
Of excellence.
You guys are doing a good job out there. Of excellence.
I think it's fucking funny though.
Hey, SMA, if you want to follow WTF Nation Radio though, before you follow the Jim Laporta and the PAO, we appreciate it.
You know what? That's a good idea. You know what? That's a good question to ask. Does Sergeant Major of the Army follow WTF Nation Radio? Let me see. Let me. Matter of fact, let me look. I'm gonna find out right now. Sergeant Major of the Army follows.
Okay, so while you're
no, he does not. He does not follow WTF Nation Radio. He follows
SMA. Come on now.
He does follow U.S. Army WTF Moments though. I mean,
that's a step.
That's a step. But I mean, maybe he doesn't know that we're part of the team or something like that. I mean, he has to know.
When you're ready to come on the radio.
Yeah, exactly. You come shoot the breeze with us, Sergeant Major, and we can hang out.
I think we need to kick those tires again. Wait until like February and then kick those tires again, because the SMA is kind of busy.
Right, exactly.
And again, I will say it is nice to see that all of the Army leadership out there with the National Guard soldiers, talking to them, and everything like that. Granted, they're right there, so they should be, but they are, and that's what matters. So it is nice to see that.
Yeah, at least he's going out there and seeing what's up.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you're right. You know what, Cos? You are absolutely 100% correct. I think I would like to think as well that we, the WTF Nation, played a part in senior leaders coming on. We've had more generals rotate through the WTF Nation than most commands have. I think we've had more GOs on hanging out with us than most GOs hang out with other. And that's you're right, Cause. I think that's also a testament to the staff and everybody else busting their butts to get them scheduled. So.
Okay, we're gonna take that, pat on our pat
ourselves. Yeah, pat ourselves on the back on now. Pat yourselves, everybody. Pat yourselves. Anyways, so sorry, I didn't mean to throw that tidbit in front of you, man. I thought that was fucking hilarious.
No, it's just it's funny watching organizations who are jumping in as well with 18 Airborne Corps, 1st Special Forces Command, and then I think there's a couple other ones that were jumping in on there. It's a good laugh because no one's really being mean, but you're fucking with them, and that's what we do in the military. It's good.
It's good fun though. I mean, it's good fun.
Thinking of he's already dead.
Yeah, exactly. I know we're looking at the gifs. If you're on Twitter and just follow Sergeant of the Army and watch the PAOs going at it, but it's fucking classic.
Everybody wants the SMA's signature of approval. Everyone wants the SMA. Everyone wants the SMA's blessing.
Right. Exactly.
I'm gonna get the SMA to follow me before Jim Laporta and the PAO. That would be great. So we were talking about pardons, and our research awesomeness Shipwreck actually dropped some knowledge on us. Do you know who's given out the most pardons in presidential history?
That looks like an error, bro. That I can't believe. Go ahead. Go ahead. That's I'm shocked.
This is gonna people would think maybe Richard Nixon, maybe Herbert Hoover. He was kind of a sumbitch. Maybe Bill Clinton. He was just horny. Whatever. No, somebody that the Democrats push out a lot. Because they want to do another New Deal. Franklin Delano Roosevelt had 2,819 pardons. Holy snap, crackle, and pop. Granted, he did serve for 10 years or something? He's the only president who kind of was doing was on a third term.
Yeah, he was kind of pushing it.
And then they went, oh shit, we need to stop doing that.
The war thing, yeah. Exactly. 2,819 people. How do you keep a Rolodex of people like that asking for pardons? Was it over a period? It had to have been cumulative.
Steve, is your brother still in jail? I know he screwed a goat, but is he still in jail? What's his last pardon? Get him the fuck out of there. Tell him to stop leaving those goats alone.
You get him a pardon.
Roosevelt turned into the Oprah. You get a pardon. You all get pardons. Hey, you just fell. You get a pardon.
Exactly. But I think it was cumulative, though. I think due to the fact that his term was so.
Also in for a long time.
Yes, I'm saying his term was in for a long time, and who knows how the pardons worked back in the day. Nowadays you could do it over Zoom or some shit. You know what I mean? So back in the day,
you just go walking in jail like you're going to a puppy pound. Your pardon.
Right.
Fuck you.
Right.
Your pardon. I don't like you, and your pardon.
Right. So.
It's less like pageantry to do it.
Right, exactly. It should be more I always thought it was some pageantry to it. I didn't know it was an admin action. I didn't know it was a 4187 and you got pardoned.
4187. You were now pardoned.
You were now pardoned.
Get out of jail free card.
Yeah, exactly. I thought it was going to be more, when you think about pardon, you think about it being, something presidential. But looking over through the count, I mean, you got.
You know who my surprise is? Eisenhower. With a grand total of 1,110 pardons.
Who did they? That's what I'm saying. Who did they?
Hey, look, I know you did some stuff that was questionable in Germany and
in WW
and stuff that we weren't supposed to do because of things. I'm just gonna slide this pardon across. We're just not gonna mention it. I'm sure there's plenty of that. I mean, it's the heat of a fucking world war. I'm sure there's some pardons that are maybe tied to that. Woodrow Wilson with 1,087. Richard Nixon, I mean, the man, 863. Woo. Teddy Roosevelt, my man Teddy, 668. Jimmy Carter had a grand slam of 534, which is not bad. He only served one term, right? He only served one term. JFK had 472, which is not bad for. I don't believe he completed his.
No, he did not. He got his head blown up. So yeah,
yes, that happened. Bill Clinton. Here's a surprise. Bill Clinton, for having 8 years, only did 396 pardons.
Yeah, exactly.
Same thing with Ronald Reagan, 393 pardons. William Taft, 383. Gerald Ford, 382. Harding, McKinney, Harding was at 386. William McKinney was at 291. Barack Obama, for 8 years, only did 212 pardons. He did do a lot of, he did on his last day in January 19th of 2017, did do like 330 clemencies, commuting of sentences, but that doesn't count when it comes to pardons.
Right.
But he did commute those sentences for 330 people on his last day in office. George W. Bush with 189. George H.W. Bush, 74 pardons.
189, bitch.
And that's pretty impressive for being in for 8 years and everything that happened during those 8 years. Like, he didn't pardon shit. He said, "Fuck you guys." But here's the big one. Donald Trump's numbers. You notice I've gone down. He's only pardoned 10 people.
Right. I was about ready to say, yeah. Yeah.
And people are losing their shit about, he might do 100 before he leaves.
Right.
He still would be barely. He would be half of Barack Obama's. Granted, Barack Obama had 4 years, had 8 years. Donald Trump's not going to as of now. Unless they, which is one reason why, my wife was talking to me and she's like, why are they doing this impeachment stuff? And why are they still going to do, they're still they ain't done. They're still planning on court stuff for over the, inciting violence and stuff like that. And I had explained to her, I said, it's not so much. I said, yes, he's leaving. I said, it's twofold. I said, one, it sets an example that presidents have a fucking limit and their words fucking matter, and they need to make sure what they're saying isn't going to be doing shit they're not supposed to, including getting people all riled up where they fucking sack the Capitol. And two, because they don't want this sumbitch to run again in 4 years, which he can. Teddy Roosevelt did. I think he was a Republican for 4 years. He didn't win re-election. The Republicans didn't want to run him again, and then he came back with the Bull Moose Party and ran again. Donald Trump could run again, but I think they want to get him out, try to actually push criminal charges to make sure he can't. And I'm pretty sure there's some Republicans that are there's some Republicans out there please God.
Could you imagine if somebody fucking if there was a technicality where he could not get convicted, he could not whatever. Could you imagine he'd be what, impeached twice? He leaves the office of the presidency, and then he runs again, and he fucking wins. Could you imagine? It's like a break of service.
I can't imagine the Republicans running him.
You don't think so?
I expect a Bull Moose Party type move.
I don't know. I think there is I think there's just gonna be. Look. I will say this with D. Treasy. He has been able to pull stuff that people have said he cannot fucking do, that the Supreme Court says he can do, that he was able to do because he was the president. He had executive. And that's my biggest thing, is that all these individuals, all these pundits again saying that it's unconstitutional, he had no authority to do it. They're gonna, you guys, I'm telling you, we talked about this, Flash. That pendulum's gonna swing right back. There's gonna be individuals and haters that are going to be doing the same thing to Biden and saying the same thing. He might do something or slip something, forget to say something, and the next thing you know, the media is going to dogpile on it because now
so we do have a correction.
Okay, go ahead.
Thanks to Shipwreck. Apparently, those numbers were as of July 2019, with the updated one that he had to count by hand, and I appreciate Shipwreck. He's done a grand total of 69 pardons in his 4 years, so 169. So. He still will be under Barack Obama. He will outdo. He'll be close to outdoing George W. Bush, who did 8 years. That's not the worst. There's plenty of people in here. JFK 474, Jimmy Carter 534, both one-term presidents. Theodore Roosevelt 1 term 668. There's plenty of Richard Nixon. Richard Nixon was only 1 term, right? Didn't Richard Nixon jump in after? No, that wasn't him.
Yeah.
That's Lyndon Johnson. and then Richard Nixon beat Lyndon Johnson.
Right.
Yeah. See, I'm trying to get my civics in order.
Yeah. You know what's funny is that all the civics in order that people couldn't
Hey,
figure
thanks,
out.
Shipwreck.
Yeah, thanks. That's some good research. So what was something you were going to talk about? You mentioned something, and I totally fucking forgot about it now. Shit, I might have to go into the 25th Amendment myself. I'm forgetting shit. I don't even know what I was going to ask you. Damn. Oh, that's right. We were talking about the rhetoric and deplatforming. We talked about it a little bit about Parler, and we talk about how Parler now, it's back.
They're back, bitches.
And so you know, we're all gonna see your dick pics and tit pics again. What is
I forgot I should go on there.
We should go on that link that I showed you, man. Woo! There's a concern now, and I'm seeing, and we brought this up before. Now that it's back online, people are now saying that it's a bad idea because who were the ones that hosted Parler to be back on? And I'll tell you who. More than likely, it was probably outsourced. You know, that's the favorite. That's the favorite of everybody, anyways. Is outsourcing to foreign countries. So it's probably out there somewhere in a foreign country, being sourced out and run on that page, and there's nothing you could do to stop it.
Actually, I'm hearing. I was reading that the host servers are based out of Russia.
Well, there you go. Outsourced.
I mean, nothing says no. Trump wasn't. We're not. Our message isn't rooted in Russia and stuff like that. When your fucking server now,
no, this is
still fighting with Amazon.
But this is still. But Flash, this is still outsourcing. This is the reason why innovate. This is how innovation happens. For instance, NASA owned the market for everything that had to do with spaceflight until Elon Musk showed up. And Elon Musk, are the Space Force Lord and Savior, Elon, was saying, hey, I could do this, I could do that. And the old school NASA engineers were saying, no, you can't do that, and this. And he tried to help. So he said, fine, I'm going to do it myself. And this is what happens when it comes to innovative. I'll be honest with you, I want this type of innovation. I want somebody to, would you be willing to pay some overseas country money to host your server fees so that way you could still technically practice the First Amendment and all that if you wanted to say, because, you know, it's a private company, they own the content or whatever under the terms of service and all that shit. But technically, do you think that this is what's going to spawn more outside web service companies to say, fuck it, okay, we won't use Amazon? You know what I mean? What do you think?
The problem is Apple and Amazon own the biggest the biggest providers of cellular devices that are literally a supercomputer in your hand, which is saying something. I mean, hell, I'm on my phone right now and I can check my bank account, surf the web, look at booby pics on Parler, and oh wait, no, I can't, unless I go to the browser mode. But anyways, I mean, it's getting to the point where if you have an app and you can't get it on either these, you can't get it on Apple or off that, there's Amazon server, which is crazy because the Galaxy, like they have that, the Androids have that open app where every app's available, and Apple is a little more selective and stuff. So it's kind of crazy that they went nope and kicked them all off of all of them. Yeah.
Right, exactly.
They're private companies. They can do what they want. There is no, they have to do this and that, have to do that. And people are like, well, this hurts my First Amendment rights. No, it doesn't, because they have First Amendment rights. They're allowed to go, and they have rights of their own company to go, no, we don't want this.
Very good point, Heath. Heath says he's gonna invest in Wayland Yutani. I love the preference. Exactly.
Unless a federal entity owns a app and then denies an app just because they want to take it down, then you have a First Amendment case. If not, you're just butthurt because not everyone agrees with you. Now, is that a slippery slope, considering how much technology plays a huge part in our lives? I had a guy who works in CID, and he was mentioning, he was like, man, he said, I don't know. He said, but sometimes I feel like, I teeter between, the government needs to stay out and the government needs to regulate, because there's just no, it's the Wild West on these things. Like they're expecting the platforms to do their job and to balance out everything and to hold their people to a standard, and that's why they're kind of hoping that was it Proposition 220 or something like that said that you can or 230, it's one of those two, that it pretty much holds platforms liable for what goes on them. So if somebody says I'm going to this testing, this is for an example only. This is for an example only. But if somebody was to write, I'm going to hurt the president, then the page can be held liable.
Of
for
course,
and stuff like that.
Yeah.
With this proposition in place, they can't. You post something, it's only on you. The platform plays no line in there. So there are talks about should there be some government regulation because it's turning into. This is kind of like how when, steel was just jumping off and there was no government regulation and we had monopolies and we had issues because prices and blah, 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 and go back to American history and go look that up. But all I'm saying is until government regulation, it was the Wild West when it came to that. But also when government regulation comes with government bureaucracy and fucking red tape. And this is going to be like 20 times harder than it has to be. And we're going to be behind and blah, blah, blah because government got in the way. So you balance between the two of should it be the Wild West and, but then if it's the Wild West, then these companies should be allowed to do whatever the fuck they want. They have their own people to answer to, their board of directors, people who are stock shareholders and stuff like that.
And I think Parler in its growth really, I think Amazon should have just went on their, instead of being political about it, they should have just thought about exactly that. I see one of the comments is about the bottom line. It should have been on their. They should have thought about their bottom line, and they would have said, "Is there anything legal that we can do to remove Parler from this? What are we doing? No, are they supposed to self-moderate? Yep. Then why is it that it took? And here's another thing too, and this is how much when people talk about there's no tech control, I call bullshit. There's a massive amount of tech control with the way people are being silenced, and due to the fact that when it came to Twitter, when it came to Facebook, when it came to Google, they were called upon to testify before the Hill, and not a fucking thing happened to them. Parler has everybody moving over to that platform and moving over to them, and all of a sudden people are going, oh no, we can't have that, and they just cut it out. No congressional testimony, no actual bona fide freaking legal complaints were filed. Nothing. It was some butthurt fucking politics, and the next thing you know, it's off the map. It's gone. Now, don't get me wrong. There are some accounts on that fucking site because I've seen the screenshots and people have sent me pictures and stuff like that. And also, I looked through some of the fucking files that were part of the big takedown that were all open. You could see some of that shit, and some of it is just on their own stuff. It's like, I don't have to follow, I don't have to listen, I can block, I can mute, just as much as anybody else can. You don't have to sit there and have that shit being, taken as well. You don't have to take it if you can just block or mute. So I don't understand, why is it that Facebook, why is it that Google, why is it that freaking Twitter had congressional hearings, and of course anything that has to do with Congress is a fucking goat rope to begin with, and the circle jerk of testimony of them saying, oh no, we're doing this, oh no, we're doing that, and the next thing you know, that's where you see the boomers going, so if I turn on Facebook, will my Google phone work? And that's when the Android data Zuckerberg will go, no, that's a Google phone, whatever. Parler didn't get that opportunity. That's where I think it's all fucked up. Parler got no opportunity to be able to testify before Congress or to be able to speak for themselves to do it, aside from going on the media. And of course, the Parler CEO should have expanded in the amount of how many media platforms he went to instead of going to just fucking like Fox or something like that, or some of the big ones that he should have went on CNN. Say, hey, look, I got your information, and here's the information that I got. I'm trusted with it. If nobody tells me this is being played on, it's just like a playground. It's just like a park. If no one knows a crime is being committed on a park, are you going to hold the park liable? No. Did you call the fucking cops? Well, no. Then you really, you know what I mean? I don't know. It's just a common sense thing when it comes to something like that. Yeah, okay, so it's owned by Epic. That's what, being run on Epic. That's what the Shipwreck said. They are the hosting services for Parler now. Which, it's going to come back up. Do you have a Parler account, Flash? Do you have one for your research or something like that?
I've stayed away. Now, I was close to starting one, just not that I believe in. I'm sorry, I just smacked my mic. Not that I believe in the platform itself, but I like to keep an ear in everything. And part of me, and I kept going back and forth. I'm like, man, I really don't need to add another like app, and just like wade into another cesspool, because I tell you, my waders are dirty. Twitter keeps my. I already told my wife. I said my oldest daughter. I was like, she's never getting on Twitter. I said, you can find literally everything. I said,
right.
Yeah. I said, parents have got you blocked from porn sites. Don't worry, kids. Go on Twitter, where it's not that hard. It's like you can find everything between OnlyFans, which, hey, go girls and guys, do your thing, make your money. I'm just saying, but damn, like you can find anything you want. And like there's some deep rabbit holes down there. I'm like, Twitter's kind of fucked up.
Right,
my
exactly.
ways are dirty as shit, so I'm good. Like it's not as clean and old as Facebook, and even Instagram's got a better handle on. Twitter's just like fuck it. Twitter's that old. Twitter's that guy in the alley. He's like, "You want some smack, kid?"
Well, that's another thing. We were. I mean, because we have a tech. Our tech. CQ is his additional duty for the station is our tech guy. So if there's any new technologies or any new stuff like that, he's not only is he a host, but he's been promoted to R&D. So anything that has to do with tech, anything that has to do with platforms and all that, he's my go-to guy, and he inundates my inbox with all the tech stuff. I had asked him, hey, look, see if there's something to do with Parler, and he said, nah, I don't know, man. It looks like something's not right. It doesn't look like their platform secure. It's buggy, and I don't know if they're able to push video or be able to stream and all that. But I'll keep an eye on it. And then, sure as shit, as soon as all this stuff was happening, and they were talking about the script change and the source code being able to change so that way you could find out what files or who the account was. He even said, see, told you. I'm like, yeah, dude, you're fucking A on it, man. That was legit. It was a legit fucking thing because he did his stuff. There are some friends and family that I know that have a fucking Parler account because there's like, oh, something new. It's almost like when you have your choice of Yahoo, your choice of Hotmail, your choice of, you know what I mean? Google Mail, whatever your choice is, people have 3 different Google Mail, 3 different email accounts. So why not? You know what I mean? Why not have it? But you're right. You can't see a lot of things that you didn't think you'd ever see on Facebook. When I was told by the main page, hey, now that you're public, you're going to be public soon, and blah blah blah. You need to get a Twitter account so that way you can engage the audience, engage the people. Okay, cool. Soon as I went on there, I was like, I see booty on here. I see boobs. What is this? Is this? I can't believe this site is. That's the common phrase in the Twitter sphere. I can't believe this site is free. You know what I mean? But how do you work in your gig? I mean, in your stuff, what you do, is it easy in the PAO world for you to not? Did you guys think about? Did anything in the Army talked about getting Parler possibly? Was there ever talks for the Army PAO world to do that? As far as the Parler is now another platform just for you guys to put stuff out. Did the Army ever think about that in the PAO world?
Not that I know of. I know there, I've talked to, old friends of mine who are like, hey, thoughts on this? And I'm like, I don't know. Like, that doesn't seem like, I'm like, I know like a couple of recruiter friends of mine who are like, man, I'm thinking about jumping in Parler. I'm like, dude, worry about just, not getting in trouble for being in TikTok. Like let's not throw extra
True.
On what you want to do. I felt, from the start, I've always thought that Parler was a flash in the pan, and which it's turning out to be. I thought it was going to be like it was going to die of its own devices, but I didn't think that it was going to be like. I didn't think it was going to die this way, but I knew it was going to die. I mean, there's been a couple of other ones that what do you call it? That have kind of risen and fallen pretty quickly.
Like
to supplant Twitter, to supplant Facebook. But Parler's just, anyone who ever asked me, and I think my wife even brought it. She's like, she's like, what do you think about this? I'm like, nope. I said it's just an echo chamber for people who just want to be assholes and can't say horrible things and be racist and stupid and shit and expect people to go and not report them.
Well, see, that's my thing. Everyone got mad and said I'm going to delete Facebook and go to WhatsApp and Snap. You guys realize who owns them, right? That's the whole thing that pisses me off about all these platforms. Instead of sitting there saying, and bitching about it, report it. If you don't like, or scroll through. If I were to report everything that would have upset me on social media, I would not. That's whatever. Sometimes it just like it's not even effective to me. I don't know. Is it a big deal? Do you think it's a big deal when people overreact to something like that? If it's like really malicious or something like that, someone says, hey, drops a couple F-bombs at you and calls you a piece of shit. Is that gonna fucking bother you? I mean, come on, I'm a public person. I get that all the fucking time. So I'm just wondering, should it just be like, hey, I'm muting you or I'm reporting you, and that's it. But I don't want an entire platform to be shut down because of it. You know what I mean?
I've always been like, one, I don't talk shit on social media for people who know me actually in person, because who I was raised with and my crazy ass siblings, we go for the jugular. I don't pull punches, especially when people decide to go crazy. Now, I will debate things in fact and leave it at that. I've had facts they didn't like reported, like straight up. I got it from a credible source, like actual credible source, not from Breitbart or something like that, but actual, like from a encyclopedia about things, or like, hey, got it from the actual people who were there. And like, we don't believe these facts. I'm gonna dispute it. I've had fact checkers, the whole when Facebook was rolling out the fact checker thing, which they kind of stopped doing as much anymore, if you notice.
Yeah.
Especially, the Democrats are saying all kinds of crazy shit. Let's turn this function off.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not saying.
I'm not saying shit. Yeah.
I'm just saying.
Exactly.
But I mean, Parler's just we see the people who are on there. Now, everyone is entitled to their First Amendment rights. If you want to go to a different platform and fucking spout off how horrible of a person you are, I guess you can go do that. I'd prefer away. Now, somebody on Twitter is like, crap, we need to open up Parler back again so all those fuckers will stop coming back to Twitter. I'm leaving Twitter, never coming back. Hey, they're back. Like, oh my God, it was so much nicer here.
I was actually, that's because they wanted Trump out of there. But I'm just thinking about Twitter stock. What was Twitter stock after Trump? After did it drop? Did it go up and down? Because I know right now for the week, it's trending slowly, but for today, I mean, it went down. I mean, the stock was down and all that.
Now the stocks have been kind of in a pause in the most part, a pause,
right?
Because of the national holiday. Its 52-week low was hitting $20. Its 52-week high was $56.11. Right now, it's trading at about 45.11 cents.
Yeah, that's what I heard too.
So it's kind of, it's weirdly enough, if you look at the last, we could look at the last 5 years, it's actually trending, it's kind of hitting a downslope of this spike, but it's still trending higher than it was even 2-3 years ago. If we look even the last year, there was a drop probably right around when COVID hit, where everything else was going down, but there's been a steady incline. But then like the last 3 months have even, there's been it was a sharp spike in the first month, and then a steady rise, and then a big rise and a steady fall. So, I think a lot of this stuff is unaffected by Parler. I think it's, the give and take of government and how things are working out. But, I'm not going to say what service I'm using to find this.
Yeah, I'm about to say, don't use it. Don't do it.
Is doing good.
Don't do that. Don't do that.
Man, I'll tell you what.
Exactly that, Scott. And that's another thing too, is that there's people that have been on there talking about what people individually attack just because they say there's some things that Trump didn't do wrong. Scott says that he's been called a fascist, racist traitor and gotten a death threat once. I hear on the death threat stuff. I always get the ones like, is this a death threat? And then I keep forgetting. That I've been threatened by, far worse.
You can't kill me.
I'm just thinking like, you better watch out.
Come to your house.
I'm just kind of like, dude. So, I'm gonna, but that right there is what I'm talking about. That is what is that. There's some individuals that don't feel like D. Treasy did anything wrong. Whether you agree with not, hey, you can fucking support the guy all you fucking want. And you vote for the guy, or you vote for. But I'm still not gonna fucking go out of my way to call you fascist, racist, traitor, or whatever. No, I'm just not. It's not me. I just don't think that Twitter realized doing what it did by canceling Parler out now has set the slippery slope that if somebody were to take over Twitter, that decides to say, I'm gonna fucking start changing shit, and I'm gonna start going back. Who's to say the next platform is gonna get removed? Who's gonna say what's the next platform when Facebook? You already got people. Everyone's been saying that Facebook needs to get fucking broken apart and stuff due to the fact that they couldn't moderate. Well, wait a minute. If you're talking about deplatforming Parler and disconnecting it from the net because they couldn't moderate their content, but then you're also saying that Facebook facilitated everything on all these riots and stuff from the summer to now, then don't you think you should like deplatform Facebook? I mean we're on Facebook.
I mean, wasn't Twitter a huge thing for the Arab Spring?
Yes, it was. Big time.
I mean, so I don't blame Parler as the reason for, because other social media. I mean, hell, people have used Facebook groups and stuff like that to coordinate the Black Lives Matter protests across the country,
right?
And the different Second Amendment protests and stuff like that. Like, this isn't a new thing, but I think I kind of think that as we're as a civilization, we're looking at it going, okay, look. You want to keep your guns? Cool. You want to, protest for women's rights? Okay. You want to do this? You want to do this? No, we're not going to sit over there. We're not going to entertain you throwing a tantrum because your person lost the election. We're going to be, oh, shit, we did that with the Russians and shit like that.
Right.
Then we do that. Shit. I don't know. Like, I hate double standards.
Right. That's my biggest thing, too.
But I do think there is. Maybe not for the. I think all that Russian, Russia did it, Russia did that, and then the Russian investigations really didn't ink out more than a couple people. I actually talked to people who had Russian affiliations, but that was it. And that's the best they could give us. And the Manafort report had was like zilch. I mean,
right,
that was
exactly.
kind of shit. So, but
exactly.
But this. I don't know, because I don't want to be a hypocrite, and I don't. And maybe they should have been, people should have been, but here's a time where the big boys sitting at the table, the adults are sitting at the table with their platforms, and they're going, well, we'll figure it out. Don't worry, fuck off. We'll figure it. Grandma, fuck off. We're gonna figure it out here. We're gonna figure it out. And then you have some kid coming over. Hi, I'm Parler. Everyone come over here and just say whatever the fuck they want, post whatever the fuck they want. I don't give a shit. And everyone looks at him and goes, look, we know we're fucked up, but you need to go sit the fuck down. I think that's where we're at. I don't think,
but Flash, I don't think that's the problem. I don't think we should have. I don't think Parler should have been deplatformed from it, though. I mean, just because.
I didn't care if it got shut down or not. Like, it was what,
Right. I don't care about Facebook getting shut down either. I don't care about Twitter, but I think it's a little unfair that Parler got shut. And it's just me. I'm all about the information environment anyways. To me, it was just another platform. Like you said, I have no heartburn whether it was activated or not. But I think that the making a platform specifically partisan is what did it in, because everyone kept saying, this place is a woke place, it needs to fucking go. I'm going to Twitter, I'm going to Parler, and the next thing you know, they're like posting actual, really legit extremist shit. And nobody's really commenting on it. You know what I mean?
So Parler did claim that they had over 12 million users. This was part of the lawsuit that they filed against Amazon's cloud computing division, who cut off their access to the social media. Let's see, Parler said they gained 4.5 million users just before going down. So I mean, okay, so 12 million users. Let's see. We're just gonna compare. Let's just see. Are we not going to work now because my computer wants to? Just don't. Did I lose certain? Okay, we're good. We didn't. Okay, so 12 million compared to. Not getting a number. I know it's a lot. We're gonna figure this out. Because now, okay, so 12 million. That's a lot of people, though. I want to know. 330 million users on Twitter. So Parler's looking very small. That means 12 million is still nothing to.
Right.
2.7 billion on Facebook.
Yeah. That's decent size.
Over 1 billion monthly active users on Instagram. Let's try Snapchat. 46 million. Is there anything else that I haven't? Hey, I know. Let's try LinkedIn.
Oh my God, LinkedIn is
LinkedIn has 760 million users.
Right.
So I mean, 12. I'm sorry for you 12 million people, but apparently the big dogs have spoken. They said
exactly.
Your bite is not big enough in this market for us to fucking care what you
right,
have to say.
But
and I do agree, because I was listening while you were talking as I was doing some research.
Yeah.
I do think that when a lot of people were going, this is a conservative outlet. I think then because Facebook and Twitter have done things that it's like kind of partisan, but they've never once come out and been like, this is a partisan, this is a Democrat owned or anything. It's always just been like, okay, so they tend to be a little bit more this way than that way, but that's about it. Parler came out and was straight up like, this is where the conservatives are here to talk, and that's it. And I agree with you. I think that's where they kind of ran bad.
You shouldn't have done that. Because this is how you drive. This is how you create the underground. This is how you create the underground. Someone right now is coding some baller ass shit right now and testing code right now as we speak because they're fuming and pissed off at Twitter and Facebook. And right now they're going to do the same thing. It's like, I want to make it like Twitter, but make it like Facebook, but still be able to do a point to point like how Twitter is. Yada yada. Right now, innovation is happening. Right now, there's some fucking mad scientist in a fucking lab, in a computer lab, trying to figure this shit out. And when it gets unleashed, everyone's going to remember it. Oh, shit, this is what happened. Especially when big, famous people start, getting on there. So that's just me. That's just me.
Hey, real quick, because we're nearing the end of the show. We need to do our
go ahead,
house cleaning.
Yeah, go ahead.
So jumping over, we did kind of touch on at the beginning of the show about
go for it. Yeah, my
NFL
bad.
Playoffs.
Yeah, go ahead. Sports page. Yep.
This weekend. So Packers whooped off on the Rams. Rams just really couldn't get anything really going, only throwing up 18 points. Aaron Rodgers looking like his old self, definitely making sure that the NFC Championship game is going to be at Green Bay, going up 32-18. Aaron Rodgers had a great day, almost 300 yards throwing, 2 touchdowns. Aaron Jones was rushing, he got 14 carries for about 100 yards and a touchdown. I mean, Packers are running on all cylinders. They got a lot of people hurt that are now healthy, and that definitely made a difference. Moving on to the other Saturday game, it was the Bills versus the Ravens in Buffalo. I tell you what, they only had 6. They had fans there, but like definitely not as many. I think it's like they said like 1,600 or something, but it sounded like 16 or 32,000. It was loud. It's so much so that it disrupted a lot of what Lamar Jackson and the Ravens were trying to do. It was definitely a tough game, especially if you're a Ravens fan. They were only able to put 3 points up in the second quarter because Tucker, who's the Ravens kicker, who's probably is the most accurate kicker in the NFL, was not the most accurate kicker in this game. I think 2 out of the 3 field goals, one went wide left, one went far right, and just couldn't get anything going. And then with Lamar Jackson going out, I believe in the third, either at the end of the third or near the beginning of the fourth quarter, going out with concussion. It was easy work for the Bills, who were able to ran a touchdown back, interception back for a touchdown, which was great. Josh Allen playing pretty well, 206 yards, 1 touchdown. Stephon Diggs only with 8 catches, but with 106 yards receiving and 1 touchdown. And Gus Edwards for Baltimore doing the most of the damage for because Lamar Jackson was getting pretty well contained, 42 yards and 10 carries. So Bills win 17-3 over the Ravens. Awesome. Then on Sunday, the Browns and the Chiefs. Tell you what, this was a closer game than a lot of people thought it was going to be, and it was a good game. That's all I wanted. I didn't, as much as we said I wanted the Browns to win, I felt the Chiefs were going to win because Patrick Mahomes is awesome. It was close. Chiefs were able to break it out thanks to a great second quarter. Chiefs won 22-17. Patrick Mahomes is in the concussion protocol right now. Will he be game ready come this weekend? We don't know. We'll have to see what happens. Patrick Mahomes, before he went out, 255 yards throwing, 1 touchdown. Tyreek Hill with 8 touches for 110 yards receiving. Awesome sauce over there. And then finally, to end off this matinee of NFL talent, 2 of the oldest fucking guys that are quarterbacks are fucking playing. Drew Brees and Tom Brady showing up. Saints able to beat the Buccaneers both times during the regular season, hoping to do it again. But just wasn't the case. Drew Brees wasn't himself. It was a tough first quarter. Saints only got up 6 points off 2 field goals. Buccaneers just couldn't do enough, but were able to get 13 points in the second quarter. It was steady going, except I think 3 scores were off of turnovers. Whether it was a slant, Saints threw a slant, and he was holding the ball like a breadbasket, in the flat, and then the ball just got knocked out of his arms, and then recovered. They were able to score points off of that. There was an interception. There was at least 2 interceptions off of Drew Brees, which kind of sucks. But Tampa Bay Buccaneers, which you predicted, were able to beat out the Saints 30-20 in the game that mattered. They lost 2 in the regular season, but they didn't fucking care because they won this one. So Tom Brady's moving on to the conference championship, while Drew Brees might have played his last game. And I do want to note that there was a touching video that came out that Drew Brees and Tom Brady after the game, out on the field with their kids, throwing the ball around, just talking, even had a hug, which was, mad respect for the guys. Tom Brady coming out and defying odds. He only threw for 199 yards and 2 touchdowns, but he's a field general, and he did his job. So we're gonna see a lot of great action. Was it Bills and Chiefs and Packers and Buccaneers? So it's going to be a great, playoffs.
So the Bills and Chiefs. So what's our picks? We're doing pretty good on the picks, man. So what's the next? What's Flash and Ice's fantasy picks for this right here? So what do you think?
I'm going to say Bills because I don't think Patrick Mahomes, because that hit was pretty bad. I don't think he will get cleared, because remember, it's independent folks that clear the concussion protocol. It's not the team, so they can't even be like, "Hey, dude, just say you're fine." I think that the Bills will be able to come up because that defense they were able to, straight up hold up Lamar Jackson. I think they can do the same thing against the Chiefs. So I'm gonna give hope to Buffalo, and say, hell yeah, Buffalo Bills beating the Chiefs.
I'm gonna go with the Chiefs.
Dun, dun, dun.
I'm gonna go with the Chiefs, man. I'm telling you, the defense was pretty good. It was a little bit shaky. I think
especially at the end.
Yeah, and I think Mahomes getting back into the swing of the game once he's already done his TBI / concussion protocol, and they say he'll be able to play again. So I think with that, I think he'll gain some touchdown points. But maybe a couple of incompletes, but I think the Chiefs are going to get it with a little bit. As long as they keep their defense up, I think they'll be pretty good. I think I'm going to go with the Chiefs on that one. Who's the next one?
So Buccaneers at Packers.
Oh man. I'm sorry, Buccaneers.
2 more old men.
The Buccaneers, bro. I'm gonna have to say the Bucs on this one. The momentum that Tom Brady has right now, he's realizing how close he almost lost, or how shaky he was against the Saints. I'm gonna say that he's gonna realize that this is the real deal, and he's probably gonna take that one. That's just me.
I'm not gonna put this on Tom Brady. I'm gonna say the team is not ready for what the Packers are about to put down.
Okay, that's fair.
I think we're on both opposite spectrums for both this, but I do feel that Aaron Rodgers is going to the Super Bowl, and he's going to retire, win or lose after that.
You think? Okay. Ooh, yes.
The man kind of feels like it's almost like I always kind of feel like he's like, man, I'm ready to get done, but I want to go out on a high note.
Right. Okay.
So I think this is his swan song.
I can see that.
Beat the best, get to the Super Bowl, and maybe at least get to the Super Bowl. Definitely retire if he gets a ring. Definitely, he pulls a Michael Strahan and retires after a ring.
Okay, I can see that. Definitely see that.
It's time to lock it up.
Yeah, that's time. Guys and gals, thank you guys so much for coming on. Of course, we have a show 4 times a week now, and we are now starting to get into the swing of 2021. And we have guests coming up. We have the of course we have the. I'm just going to start with a historical guest first. A WTF Nation historical first. This is like a big deal. The Command Sergeant Major of USAREC. I'm going to say that again. The Command Sergeant Major John Foley of the U.S. Army Recruiting Command is going to come on WTF Nation Radio. 18 February. He just became the he took the seat last July, so he's only been in the seat for a little bit, and he'll be on to tell the force about the Army recruiting mission. And we're already getting some feedback, we're already getting some questions, we're already getting some notes and all that. Again, as you guys and gals know, no guest on here gets a read ahead on what we're talking about, but we do kind of say, hey, look, ICE normally talks about this, and this. ICE normally talks about this, and this. And then, of course, we'll go back and forth. But I want your questions. I want some feedback. I don't want no stupid questions either. I want some good questions that affect the field. I'm not a recruiter. So you guys out at Recruiter Times, you guys followers of your Recruiter Times, get with Recruiter Times to drop it in our inbox or send me an email at ice@wtfnationradio.com, and we'll be able to get it squared away. Again, I got a lot of stuff already, and I think it's going to be a good show, because this will be the first time that USREC has ever come on here. And I know I don't want to say there's bad blood, but I know that there's been, I will say there's been some friction, and I'm glad that we have been able to extend that freaking the peace branches, and I think it's awesome. I think breaking some bread will be awesome. So again, make sure you tune in on 18 February, where Command Sergeant Major John Foy, the USREC Sergeant Major, is going to be on Sergeant's Time. So with the rest of the lineup, we're going to have on the 25th of January, on Monday, for the Monday edition, is going to be George Bell, Vice President of Fieldcraft Survival, Inc. He's a retired Master Sergeant who spent 20 years in Special Operations serving as a psychological warfare expert, and has served in various positions in the U.S. Army, and has led and conducted counter-proliferation and counterterrorism operations all around the world. He and I have deployed together. So I went on his Fieldcraft Survival podcast a few months back, and now he's reciprocating and hanging out with us. So I can't wait to shoot the shit with him. 4 February, on Sergeant's Time, Colonel Jeremy Muster of the 8th Psychological Operations Group is going to come on and talk about the Psychological Operations Regiment, and he's going to talk about the specific mission that the 8th PSYOP Group has. My former unit. I'm sorry, I'm going to brag a little bit, but so tune in. We're going to have some great guests. We're going to have some new segments coming up. But there's been some things been going around that I've been thinking about, of getting some other segments where we'll have other hosts coming on. You might see a Saturday or a Sunday broadcast as a guest host on WTF Nation Radio, broadcasting their show, broadcasting their podcast. What we're looking at doing is getting other military veteran podcasters, and then just rebroadcasting their stuff on, kind of like, we're helping each other out, not sharing, but we can hang out and shoot the shit with them. So stay tuned for stuff like that. I mean, I can't wait, because it'll really help connect the military civilian divide that we have right now. I'm gonna tell you what, all this rhetoric and all this BS is happening. It's have you seen it, Flash? A little bit of a division between the veteran community now, starting to fucking divide us between officer, military, veteran, retiree. Have you noticed something like that?
We're all equally stupid.
Okay. I guess that was a yes. But anywho, so with that, you got anything for me, man?
Best of luck. Stay safe out there. Remember, your words matter, so be careful what you say on social media. Don't get yourself losing a job because you're being dumb or disparaging or making threats or stuff like that. Please just be good people. Right. And today is also the Martin Luther King holiday. And so reflection of the civil rights movement. I think you should ensure that you take time to reflect, and if you did or whatever, just take time to read some of his readings and some of his speeches, hear some of his speeches and stuff like that. So tonight's end quote would be a quote that's actually been used in the special operations community by Martin Luther King: is, "We must learn to live together as brothers or perish together as fools." So with that, y'all have a good night. Shots.
Hey, this is SEAC retired John Wayne Troxel. You're listening to WTF Nation Radio, the station of choice for all of the badass MFers on the planet.
The voice of U.S. Army, WTF Moments. This is WTF Nation Radio.
intergalactic throne. He surveyed the universe and said, let's make all of this our own. He commissioned a group of soldiers to take upon their shoulders a daunting task of relentless fear to make conquest of the last frontier. Now here we are enlisted for the glory of our nation. To say that we're the best would be an under-exaggeration. Prepared for combat with an alien race to kick their asses right in the face. Space Force, Space Force, we'll saddle up our intergalactic horse and we'll ride into the sun, yes, into the sun, where we'll take the day by planting a flag right there at its source. Space Force. They say that they've discovered life up there on Mars, so let's blow it all to hell and then claim it for ours. We'll paint the moon red, white, and blue for no other reason than we wanted to. Oh, Jupiter, imagine what you could become. A stupid, pointless planet turned into a giant gun. And Russia, so sorry, have to burst your bubble. Be a good sport, now sit back, relax, and watch us through the hubble as we celebrate the greatness of the United Planet of America. Space Force, Space Force, we'll saddle up our intergalactic horse and we'll ride into the sun, yes, into the sun, where we'll take the day by planting a flag right there at its source. Space Force. Now we'll go to infinity and beyond, beyond. You'll hear all manly voices singing Space Force strong. The critics say sound doesn't travel in space, to which we reply sound will do as we say. Oh, Captain Kirk, your achievements, though notable and fine, as far as we're concerned, this is Deep Space Mine. And big fans, but Lord Vader, step away from the lightsaber. There can only be one, of course. Space Force. Ra-da-da-da-da-da, ra-da-da, ra-da-da, ra-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-dum-dum-dum-dum, ra-da-da-da-da-da, ra-da-da, ra-da-da, ra-da-da-da-da-da-da-dum-dum-dum-dum-dum. Space Force, Space Force, we'll saddle up our intergalactic horse and we'll ride into the sun, yes, into the sun, where we'll take the day by planting a flag right there at its source. Space Force. Space Force.
Everything stated on WTF Nation Radio is to be considered the opinion of the person that stated it, and not an official representation of WTF Nation Radio or U.S. Army WTF Moments.
Price does not include tax, title, or license. Some assembly required. Each item sold separately. Batteries not included. Objects in mirror are closer than they appear. If conditions persist, contact a physician. Individual results may vary. Keep out of the reach of children. Avoid prolonged exposure to direct sunlight. Keep in a cool, dark place. And
please enjoy the show. Shots.
You get to see